Super Rugby Saturday games in round number 12. There are five of them, and I don't know if I'm just getting overloaded with rugby or what, but all these games have very kind of tasty elements about them. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just that point in the season where everybody's still alive, the tail end of the season. There's a few dead rubbers. We're not quite at that point yet. We've already kind of gotten the story of the season so far to see where these teams are at. So, yeah, all of these games, I don't know how I'm going to find time to watch all of them, but I do want to watch all of them. At least the Hurricanes one is on early, so that kind of gives us a chance to watch two in a row. Anyway, we will start with that Hurricanes game. Hurricanes hosting the Rebels. Both teams doing pretty well. Still behind the Crusaders, obviously, but the Hurricanes 7 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. 2 losses only to the Crusaders, the only team they have lost to thus far. Rebels with the 5 wins and the 4 losses. Coming off a bye, so perhaps kind of much needed after a ordinary kind of couple of weeks before that bye. This one's an interesting one because last season, the Rebels were absolutely flying high towards the start of the season, and then when they first played a Kiwi team, it was the Hurricanes, and the Hurricanes really cut them down to size in Melbourne, so brought them back down to earth. Rebels ended up missing the playoffs. So, the Rebels have been really good against the Aussie Conference, but not so much outside, although they did beat the Highlanders, so we'll see. How they go against the Hurricanes will be a test for them, especially away from home. They beat the Highlanders in Melbourne, so how they go against the Hurricanes in Wellington is a pretty big question. In terms of the lineups, the biggest change if you're a Hurricanes fan is the fact that there's no TJ Perenara. He is being arrested for this one. I guess it's the All Blacks kind of commitments there. For Dane Coles, he's just still not right. So he is, not ready. That means they've got Asafa Amua at hooker, and their lineout is a talking point before this one because their success rate for their lineouts is pretty low, whereas the Rebels is phenomenally high, so that could be a talking point for this one. Other than that, you got Beauden Barrett captaining. Richard Judd starts at number 9. You've still got Laumape Proctor in the midfield, Hussein and Tia on the wings. Geordie Barrett is at fullback after his kind of standout performance against the Chiefs. For the Rebels, Coleman is out, so in terms of that lineup being so good, that's a bit of a blow to them. But good news is they've got Dane Hillapetty back, and he's a bit of a star, so it's good to have him back after quite a break. He's at fullback, and he is captain. Maddox and Korobidi on the wings, Hodges in the midfield alongside English, Quade Cooper. His battle against Beauden Barrett will be interesting. You'd have to give the Rebels the edge at 9 with Guinea there. If it was Guinea and Perenara, that would be quite a matchup. Forwards, Luke Jones is there, Matt Phillip, Rangi starts at number 2, Nasarani is there as well, so Cottrell's back. It's a useful looking Rebels lineup, but how well they can do away from home, as I said, really remains to be seen. Canes need to keep winning to keep any semblance of pressure up on the Crusaders. Hope they slip up, it seems unlikely. Rebels, Australian Conference is still open, so an away win in New Zealand would certainly help their prospects of being not only the top Aussie team, but also a genuine contender for Super Rugby. That being said, the Hurricanes are favoured by 12 points, so fairly comfortable favourites in that first one. It is an early start, that one. It's like 5-something here in New Zealand, so afternoon-ish kind of game. The second one, the Highlanders hosting the Chiefs. Now, the Highlanders have come good the last couple of weeks. They've had a couple of wins in a row, very much needed. The Chiefs did go on a wee bit of a run, but it's been back to losing ways for them against the Lions at home and then Hurricanes away. So, yeah, I guess you'd say the Hurricanes are not playing in this one. The Highlanders are at a better point at this moment, so they will be really looking to push the Chiefs down. Chiefs are in 14th, so really be looking to push them down and keep them down away from the playoff spots, kind of cement their own spot there. They're pretty much unchanged, are the Highlanders. They got Ben Smith back though, so that's good news. Faddis is on one wing, Tavita Lee's on the other. Josh Ioane continues his run. He's got to hope that his health stays the way it is, because they've not had good luck with Marty Banks and Bryn Gatland both getting injured for fairly long periods. Their scrums look pretty good with Lomax there as well. He's been putting a lot of pressure on. Coltman's been in fantastic form. So they are going to be hard team to beat at home. I should mention, no Nahalo, no Squire, no Buckman, so the Highlanders are not exactly without injuries. Chiefs likewise have got a few injuries, but they've shifted things up. There's still no Retallick for this one, so he is out for a wee while. Allardyce is captain. Mitch Brown's alongside him in the locks. Laulala starts ahead of Ta'avao on the tight head side. Weber comes in for Tahuriorangi. Weber pulled out late from that last game last week, so he's there at number 9. Midfielders Leonard Brown and Manu. Waino is in. There's no Moakiola this week. Ale Malo's at 15. Chiefs really could use a win. How many of you guys are picking them to go to Dunedin and get a win? I think they won the corresponding feature last year to the Chiefs, but that was the game they played in Fiji. So I wouldn't read too much into that, but you never know. Interestingly, the Highlanders have got Frizzell on the bench. That guy has been in absolutely devastating form. But Highlanders by 12, again, kind of like the first result. Home team, fairly comfortable favourites with the bookies and with the punters, so we'll see how that one plays out. The next one, the Brumbies and the Blues, both teams with 4 wins. The Brumbies with an extra loss. Brumbies could definitely use a win. Likewise, the Blues. The Blues had a 4-game winning run. It's come to an abrupt end with a couple of losses. The Brumbies still feel inconsistent, neither here nor there. I'm not convinced they can go on and do great things, but I'm not willing to write them off yet either. So a win against you can still call them a New Zealand team in the Blues, and they're not kind of the laughing stock team they have been in recent years. So I say that as a Blues fan. A win over the Blues here would be a genuine win over a decent New Zealand team if the Brumbies could get one. The Blues will certainly be looking at it as an opportunity to bounce back after some losses. The Blues have had a bye, so should be well rested and ready to go. For the lineups, the Brumbies, Slipper, Fainga and Ala Alatoa start at the front row, so that's pretty nice. Rory Arnold, Sam Carter, this is a whole lot of Wallabies. Jerome Brown's been good since he's come in. The key name missing here is still David Pocock. That guy is not ready to go. Kind of like Dane Coles, he's your really experienced hand, world-class player, and is just not able to get his body to cooperate, so that's unfortunate. Pete Samu's playing though, Joe Powell, Liliafano 9 and 10. Banks is at 15, so there's no Kurandrani for this one though. I guess that's a wee bit disappointing, but yeah, it's still a pretty solid looking team for the Brumbies. For the Blues, the main guy missing is Rico Ioane, and the way Leo McDonald's been playing him, he played him on a big stretch of games, and all it took was the Blues are going to rest him for this game. They talked about it when they played the Waratahs weeks and weeks ago. They're going to rest him for this game. They're going to rest him for this game. They played him and they played him and they played him, but they had to rest him at some point, and they have chosen this away game to rest him. I mean, he's been such a run meter gatherer for the Blues that he is a key guy that they're missing. He makes so many of those meters, so many runs. So I guess McDonald was kind of loath to pull him out and perhaps swing some of that momentum away from the team, but they ended up losing with him in the team for the last couple of games anyway. So I mean, it's still a pretty good looking team. You got Hodgman, Apisai and Tuangafasi in the front row. Apisai's got a bit of a point to prove with the Blues for sure. He's been there a wee while now, but he's struggled with injuries. Robinson's been impressive at number 6. He continues there. Blake Gibson's at 7. Akira Ioane is in at 8. So again, pretty useful looking forward pack. Caleb Clark's the man who gets the job of replacing one of the world's best wingers on the left wing. So we'll see how he goes. Manonu and TJ Faiane continue. They've had a pretty good partnership thus far. And Malani Nanai at fullback has been having probably the best season he's had for the Blues. So I guess Blues fans like me will be hoping he can step up also for this game as well. Blues have got a bit of experience on the bench too. Polotu, Papali'i, Parsons, Nukuafa. Those guys are all Blacks. Pulu, All Black as well at one point. So In terms of the bookies, they got this one at evens. They're saying that is the hardest of the lot to pick. Blues away is generally not a very good bet, but New Zealand team against Australian team is usually a pretty good bet. So go figure with that one. This year has been outside of those norms, I guess. The next one, the Bulls hosting the Waratahs. Any South African Conference team has been hard to pick this year. The Bulls are 1 to the good with 5 wins and 4 losses. But you still feel like they could drop virtually any game. The Waratahs are in a wee bit of a slump. Their high point was definitely beating the Crusaders a few weeks ago. It is a few weeks ago now, but things have not been going kind of that well since then. The Bulls, I guess, need to get a win because the Sharks are at the moment sitting on top of the South African Conference. Virtually any team could go top of the South African Conference at this point, depending on results. So the Bulls definitely want to be doing this at home. They've picked a pretty strong looking team. The main absences are Jesse Creel and Stickling. So both those guys out. I think Stickling was concussion and Creel, I think it was a leg injury, but I could be mistaken. You've still got Galant at fullback, and he is one of my favourite South African players. Speckman is returning, so that's very good news because he's been really superb in the opening rounds. Van Zyl gets the nod at number 9. Vermeulen's still there and he's been in the form of his life. Snyman is there, that's Achia Snyman. That guy's offloading has been crazy good so far. And Yakan is there, Vasaki, Gaboka in the front row, and he's been one of the standouts as well, perhaps putting himself on the Springbok radar for the World Cup, or maybe a bit too early for him. I guess we will see. Waratahs, obviously still no Folau. That guy's got a hearing on the 4th of May, so that's one to watch. Is that the same day as this game? I guess it is. Holloway is suspended after getting a red card last week against the Sharks. Michael Wells is injured, so Ned Hannigan's had to move into number 8, which is not usually his position. It's usually 6 or in the second row. But you've still got Hooper. Harry Johnson-Holmes been outstanding. I guess both these sides have got very good young loose-head props, so that'll be interesting to see how they go as well. Because you got 2 very experienced tight heads as well. Inyekane up against Harry Johnson-Holmes, experience against inexperience, and Gaboka up against Kepu, kind of experience against less experience. So, it could be interesting. Kurtley Beals at fullback. Adam Ashley Hooper, Carmichael Hunt in the midfield. Curtis Rona is still preferred over Newsom on the wing. The Waratahs, I don't know why, but I've got kind of a sinking feeling about them. I feel like they're not going to do it. But hey, this season has just been so up and down, it's really hard to predict anything. The Bulls at Loftus, after the Waratahs have travelled, can't see it, but Bulls by 9 is what the bookies have got for that one. So it's definitely going to be a tough prospect. Hopefully the right Bulls team shows up, and hopefully the right Waratahs team shows up as well, and we've got a good game about it. But it does look a tough prospect at this point for the Waratahs. But hey, never say never. The last one, the Jaguares up against the Stormers. Flip a coin because it's 2 South African Conference teams. 5 wins, 5 losses for the Stormers. 5 wins, 4 losses for the Jaguares. Jaguares are at home, so make of that what you will. It hasn't meant a lot for a lot of the teams. I think the Lions have had their licks at home this season. Likewise, the Sharks. The Bulls haven't been perfect. The Stormers managed to win a game away finally and then lost one at home. So who really knows? Certainly not me. I do know the lineups because those have been announced. At least that's one sure thing. The Jaguares have shifted up their wings, so Maroni and Mojano are in there. But otherwise, the team looks pretty stable with Crevi continuing on at number 2 ahead of Montoya. Lavanini and Petty in the second row. Matera, who's been outstanding, continues on at number 6. Crema's there. Kubeli has really been a bit of a revelation for them. I know he's not new, but he's really stepped up to be like that number 1, number 9, I guess, for the Jaguares. And Miotti, who is a young man really fitting in well at Super Rugby, so he's been a fun guy to watch. The Stormers have made a few changes, so Dan Creel has come in for Damien Dalende, who's on the bench. not sure if that's resting or form. Mbonambi starts ahead of Intabeni. Those guys have been kind of swapping places a wee bit recently. I guess that's fair. Wukolo starts. Etzebeth's back, so that's a huge piece of good news if you're a Stormers fan. But the Stormers have lost games with their full lineup and then won games with something of a B lineup before. So again, don't read too much into it. Kolisi is being rested for this one, so I don't think he's made the trip to Argentina. Dylan Nates has been there, and he is on the wing for this one, so that's good news. Damian Willems is there. Sergio Peterson. It's a pretty nice looking Stormers team. This one's also picked to be pretty tight with the Jaguares just 3-point favourites. So will we get a new team on top of the South African Conference this week with the Sharks in Christchurch? I would say very likely. Will the Blues finally manage to get another win after a couple of losses? I don't know. Can the Waratahs go to altitude and do a job over the Bulls? Again, it seems tough, but South African Conference, definitely not a sure thing. Highlanders and Chiefs, the Chiefs have got an uphill battle there, but those New Zealand derbies are usually pretty close. Not always. Chiefs got a bit of a hiding last time. And the Hurricanes and Rebels have got a wee bit of recent history with the Hurricanes coming out on top. So we'll see if the Rebels are really able to announce themselves or if they're still just a wee bit of a step away. I would say if the Rebels can get a losing bonus point, they would still take a fair bit out of that one. But that's the preview. You guys let me know your thoughts on these 5 games. Which one do you think is going to be the game of the Saturday? I think I should be able to see probably all of them but this one live, and I may do what I did last time and kind of watch that one and that one at the same time to make sure I kind of get all the key bits. But you guys let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later.